I must ask you a question.
About Parkinson's.
Parkinson's, the real life.
Have stooped back, I can't write, and I can't finish my tea.
The symptoms of Parkinson's include tremors, stiffness in limbs, stooped back, lack of coordination, balance problems, and speech difficulties.
Thanks to Mr. Something or Other III's lifestyle, he's been more susceptible to Parkinson's. He's an older male, so he's more calm to it, and that's really a shame. His great-great-grandpappies all had Parkinson's, and that made it very genetic for him, and since he used to be a farmer, he was, exposed to a lot of things.
The causes of Parkinson's is still unknown. Some of the risk factors are genes. If it's common in your family, you may be at risk. Environment, such as toxins. The presence of Lewy bodies, which are buildups of protein. Your age, which is usually present in 60 or older. And your gender, usually male. Parkinson's affects the nervous system, which includes the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves.
What does a normal nervous system look like?
In normal nervous function, the brain will send a signal impulse to the dendrites of the transmitter neuron. From there, it'll travel through the axon of the transmitter neuron into the terminal branches. From the terminal branches, it'll head into the dendrite of the receptor neuron. In this situation, our signal impulses are dopamine. This is the signal impulse that controls movement throughout the body.
I'm the dopamine transmitter neuron, and Keinyn is the receptor neuron, and these are the dopamine. So in normal physiology, there is a good amount of dopamine going into the dopamine receptor. I think that was bad.
What does the nervous system look like in Parkinson's?
When affected with Parkinson's, the neurons become damaged and produce less dopamine, and this prevents muscle movement throughout the body. So as you can see here, this is the synapse of the transmitter neuron and the receptor neuron, and it's blown up down here and just showing how these neurons are both damaged and less dopamine is being sent in between them.
Go. In disease physiology, the dopamine transmitter neuron is injured and no longer can produce as much dopamine. So when it's giving the dopamine to the receptor neuron, not as much dopamine gets across.
How are cell membranes and proteins affected?
In a normal cell, when mitochondria are damaged, they leave the cell by autophagy. But in a Parkinson's cell, this does not happen, which causes a buildup of mitochondria, and the damaged microtubules on the mitochondria secrete alpha-synuclein, which causes a buildup of Lewy bodies inside the cell, which damages the neurons. What about homeostasis?
In normal homeostasis, we receive a stimulus from our external environment, which is picked up by the receptor neurons and then taken to the control center, or the brain. It then relays an effector back to the body to receive a response to the stimulus. In a person with Parkinson's, homeostasis is affected in the control center or the brain because of the Lewy body buildup. So not enough dopamine gets to the effector neuron, which causes responses to the stimulus such as shakiness. Treatments for Parkinson's include relaxation remedies, exercise, medications, and surgical procedures. All of these help alleviate the symptoms of Parkinson's both mentally and physically, but there is no cure yet for Parkinson's.
What about the summary?
So in summary, some of the symptoms of Parkinson's are stooped back, tremors, speech difficulties, balance problems, lack of coordination, stiffness in limbs. Some treatments include medications, relaxation remedies, exercise, and surgery.
Homeostasis. This is affected by a buildup of Lewy bodies in the brain, which inhibits regular motor response. There is also a lack of dopamine due to damages in the neurons. Cell membranes and proteins. Microtubules secrete alpha-synuclein, which causes buildup of Lewy bodies, a protein, inside the cell membrane, and dopamine and their receptors, which are proteins, are also affected.